great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, BusinessDay fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. BusinessDay is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, BusinessDay is your guide.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insights into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Moses.
When you think of business, think no more, think BusinessDay.
I know that BusinessDay Television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
Good morning. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning and you tuned into the Business Morning Live show right here on BusinessDay Television. And of course, we've got a packed morning ahead, starting off with the morning news. We then move to the newspaper review. We bring you the conversations on the show and wrap up with the social listening. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you the morning news. To stay with us. And you're welcome back to the BusinessDay Business Life News. I am Deborah Eze. Now let's see what's making the headlines. Nigeria, South Africa seen weathering Trump's tariffs as global trades tighten. Nigeria's $18.3 billion digital economy faces inclusion crisis, remitter warns. Nigeria risks losing crypto leadership as Kenya, South Africa, Ghana gain ground. And motorists face 2 weeks traffic as Lagos begins car bridge repairs. Let's now begin the news. Nigeria and South Africa are expected to withstand the impact of US President Donald Trump's proposed tariffs better than many emerging markets, as analysts say both economies have relatively limited direct exposure to the affected exports, despite growing global trade tensions. Economists note that while the new tariffs could disrupt global supply chains and dampen international trade, the immediate effect on Nigeria's export earnings is likely to be modest due to the country's heavy reliance on crude oil export, which remains its primary source of foreign exchange. However, analysts caution that prolonged trade tensions could slow global economic growth, weaken demand for commodities, and increase uncertainty in financial markets. They say Nigeria and South Africa will need to accelerate economic diversification, strengthen regional trade, and boost non-oil export to reduce their vulnerability to future global trade shocks. And moving on, Nigeria's $18.3 billion digital economy risks falling short of its full potential unless gaps in digital and financial inclusion are addressed, according to Remita, which is one that millions of Nigerians remain excluded from the country's growing digital ecosystem. The payment technology company said while digital payment, fintech innovation, and online services have expanded rapidly in recent years, access remains uneven, particularly in rural communities where poor internet connectivity, limited digital literacy, and inadequate financial infrastructure continue to hinder participation. Analysts say bridging the digital divide will be critical to sustaining the sector's growth and ensuring its benefits are broadly shared. They note that greater investment in broadband infrastructure, digital skills, and financial inclusion could expand access to digital services, boost innovation, create jobs, and broader Nigeria's economics transformation. And in other news, Nigeria's position as Africa's leading cryptocurrency market is under growing pressure, with Kenya, South Africa, and Ghana making significant strides in digital assets adoption, regulation, and blockchain innovation. Industry stakeholders say while Nigeria remains one of the continent's largest crypto market by user activity, regulatory uncertainty, and policy inconsistencies are slowing growth and driving investment towards more predictable market. In contrast, rival African economies are introducing clearer regulatory frameworks and attracting increased interest from global blockchain and fintech firms. Analysts warn that unless Nigeria strengthens its regulatory environment and fosters innovation, it could lose its competitive edge in Africa's fast-growing digital asset ecosystem. They note that a balanced approach to regulation could encourage investment, support fintech development, and help the country maintain its leadership in the continent's digital economy. And to end the news, motorists traveling along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway are expected to experience significant traffic disruption over the next 2 weeks as repair works commence on the Kara Bridge, one of the busiest sections of the highway. The rehabilitation is part of ongoing effort to improve the structural integrity of the bridge and enhance safety for commuters. Traffic management measures, including diversions and lane restrictions, have been put in place to minimize congestions while the repairs are underway. Authorities have advised road users to plan their journeys, allow extra travel time, and consider alternative routes where possible. Analysts say while the temporary inconvenience is expected to affect daily commuting and business activities, the repairs are necessary to improve road safety, reduce future maintenance risk, and ensure the long-term durability of the critical transport corridor. And that does it this morning on the news. Up next is the newspaper review. Do stay with us.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from INMA. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Dorin is heading the work in Africa.
Honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International News Media Association. All welcome, guys. And we're happy to have him here. I'll let him tell you guys more about him and why he's here.
I would leave you with the idea about business days. No platform can take it. No AI can replicate it. No competitor can buy it. So here's a little advice. Defend it. Build it. Invest in it. Because folks, the decade ahead is going to belong to news organizations that are unmistakably themselves. They're not boring. They're not neutral. Who are you? Answer that question and you'll figure out the next one. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from INMA. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Dorin is heading the work in Africa.
Honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International News Media Association. All welcome, guys. And we're happy to have him here. I'll let him tell you guys more about him and why he's here.
I would leave you with the idea about business days. No platform can take it. No AI can replicate it. No competitor can buy it. So here's a little advice. Defend it. Build it. Invest in it. Because folks, the decade ahead is going to belong to news organizations that are unmistakably themselves. They're not boring. They're not neutral. Who are you? Answer that question and you'll figure out the next one. Thanks a lot.
For 25 years, Business Day has delivered credible journalism, intelligent analysis, and decision-shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, Business Day now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. This innovation reinforces our commitment to being not just a news platform, but also a smart, accessible, and future-ready business intelligence hub. As we celebrate 25 years of impact, we step confidently into the future, powered by technology, driven by credibility, and focused on you. Visit the new Business Day website today and experience the future of news.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by Business Day Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musef.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day Television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by Business Day Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musef.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day Television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
Welcome back to the Business Morning Live. This is the newspaper review segment where we dissect stories making the headlines across the nation's newspaper. I am Deborah Eze. Of course, I'm not doing this alone. I'm right here with...
Good morning, Mohammed Akonji.
Yeah, Mohammed
Thank you very much for having me, Deborah. How are you today?
I'm very well.
I've not seen you since last week, so how was the weekend?
You saw me on Thursday.
Yeah, so I've not seen you since the weekend.
Yeah, since the weekend. Yeah, my weekend was great. It was good.
And the police roadblock in your exit, so they've left there.
No, they're still there.
I remember I was
going to talk to you about it.
Anyway,
yeah.
But okay, one of my colleagues in the office was actually mentioning that there's still roadblocks, in their estate. And because there's a ramp up right now.
Yeah.
The IG of police read the riot act again to ensure that if it's something, if the idea of saying something and saying something, and how the Nigerian police force is going to be equipped, how they will further equipped, and that the president will likely be able to make another announcement about increase in pay, and that some of the underhand dealings, roadblocks, illegal checkpoints, this stop and start that they actually be able to do. In fact, to the point of they have no right to be able to check your phones, and we're still able to read that again and sanitize Nigerians. So maybe I feel like that took my mind to you again over the weekend. Okay, Deborah was saying something about it could be right.
Before you get to all of the estates around that, Okoba axis, you get to meet, if not 1, 2 police checkpoints, which shouldn't be.
Is that the water side? Is that the backside of Lagos? Maybe that's
I don't know. I
don't mean that. I don't like the way because maybe that's the word that you're not putting attention to it. Why
it should not be an excuse.
I'm just saying.
I thought we agreed. We agreed that we're not going to make an excuse for.
I'm not making
bad behavior.
There are certain things when it happened. Okay, sorry. Before I entered the studio this morning, one of the analysis I was working on was about rental. The booming rental prices in Lagos.
Okay.
In Lagos, and then somebody just sent to me about how a very small one room apartment, bedroom apartment in a Edo State, you can imagine, going for about 2.5 million naira. And then the other story that came with it was one of the very popular lawyer, DG, I think you're the lawyer, but wrote a personal letter to the president that one of the campaign ethos that politicians, presidential aspirants should be campaigning on is this agency thing, caution fees, agency. And we're talking about that. And then, so, that what I'm simply saying there is, and the people are talking about, maybe white people are not really focusing attention on all those because they're the backside of Nigeria, So here now, because if such thing, I look at my axis, since you have mentioned that every day I'm actually passing now, I try to look at the road so that I'm able to meet roadblocks, checkpoint, and I'm not seeing. And so maybe I put it in my mind maybe because of maybe where the axis is located. That is
I really don't think it's the axis, but let's now take a look at what the front page of the Business Day is saying. Of course, from the Business Day, we move to the Guardian, the Punch, and the Vanguard before we wrap up with the cartoon of the day. But the big story on the Business Day newspaper this morning reads: Federal Government 2026 budget favors motorcycles over skills amid job crisis. Federal Government 2026 budget favors motorcycles over skills amid job crisis. Very interesting. And the writer to that story, we have 31 billion naira for motorcycles, tricycles, 3 times more than 9 billion naira budget for vocational skills training. And we have an infograph here, where of course the Business Day FG budgets more billions for motorcycles, tricycle empowerment, and we have a graph on each state and how much the motorcycle and tricycle empowerment cost, and how much vocational technical skill, the percentage. I think that's the percentage or the cost. Yeah, we have the total allocation. We have for motorcycles and tricycle, we have 31 billion naira, and vocational technical skill training, we have 9 billion naira. And of course, still on the Business Day newspaper, we have an explainer there, and it reads: why Nigeria is holding firm despite stronger US dollar. And another story, you can get that story on page 34 of the Business Day newspaper. At the top of the Business Day newspaper, we have telecoms industry faces hardest test 25 years after GSM launch, and that is on page 34 of the Business Day newspaper. And also we have presidential hopeful Obi picks agriculture, manufacturing to drive Nigeria in economic agenda, and that is on page 35. And finally, on the Business Day newspaper, we have cash-rich state struggle to turn windfall into better services, and that is on page 35 of the Business Day newspaper. I must say, interesting headlines. Interesting stories this morning. Yeah, really packed. But we're going to let's focus on the big story, which is the federal government 2026 budget favoring motorcycles over skill amid job crisis. I'd like to hear your thoughts. It was written by Toby Odeyinka.
Odeyinka, oh, not Jabilo? Okay.
No, not Jabilo.
Okay,
Odeyinka.
Okay. So, because so one of the things that have been generating reports in the last week about the budget controversy, don't forget, apart from the PFIPC, the fraudulent agency that crept its way into the budget, when we've been allocated to it, were 2 other important things. One of them came out yesterday from Tracker. So one of the popular budget monitoring institute called Tracker revealed that about 8 billion were actually allocated for churches, mosques, and palaces. And yesterday, the federal government also budgeted 1 trillion naira, for things. In fact, the 1 trillion was actually, I was on the show yesterday. We were talking about it. It was actually a big story in some other papers. The 1 trillion naira allocated for empowerment was even higher than 7 ministries and about 5 government agencies as well, if you combine allocations to them. But one of the things we see there is acquisition. Empowerment. Kicking a paper, we're able to see that. So those providers, we've seen quite a lot of amount that actually been here marked for that as well. If you look at the budget, because it appears now the government claimed, and I agree with the mention that way, that how can the dividend of democracy, the dividend of this budget, how can it get to the ordinary man on the streets? Now, one of the ways which we have questioned is the fact that should we give more money to the governors? A lot of people complain about that. They receive more money. So what are the other channels that government is actually thinking of? The Deputy Speaker was actually justifying that how, let's say that the population of Nigeria is actually related the one that attracts to churches, mosques, and traditional institutions. Can we also use the channel, state and local government have not been able to allow this thing to distill down to the people at the bottom of the pyramid, unfortunately. So the empowerment parts there, and we see governors also be able to embark on that. It's going to create a lot of ripples. That skills empowerment, when you look at ministries, Nigeria Director of Employment, Nigeria Industrial Institute, things that actually be able to channel lifelong skills to Nigerians. The allocations to empowerment that government is actually be able to use through the Ministry of Humanitarian and Social Welfare is actually more than that. That's generated a lot of ripples, because we should, but at the same time, when the government is a welfareist, when you have a welfareist stance or a welfareist posture, welfareism, because when in economics, for example, when we talk about economic agents, we said that there are 4 of them. We have the consumers, we have the producers, we have the government, and the primary function of government is welfare promotion. How do you be able to ensure you improve the welfare of the people, and how do you ensure that things trickle down? I think we call it trickle down effect to the people at the bottom of the pyramid. So one way was what this was actually designed, and the tracker, they said, actually be able to bring this to light. And before, most of the analysis that draw attention to it, the 1 trillion that was actually allocated for this, and the motorcycle segment particularly, that was actually driven is the fact that these will not just be a pipe dream again. These will not go into the drain. We need certain things. One of the things that we know that can actually be able to enhance economic transformation is transportation business. You can't rule out that fact. Transport business has a very good way of actually being able to at least improve the life of the people. And we know how Lagosians, Nigerians generally move from one point to the other. So this was actually the intention of the government, because I was on the show on Sunday and we're discussing about this, and we're trying to be able to look at the line by line item of the budget, exactly, to see what is actually allocated. But skills acquisition centers, because most of the budgets that have actually been allocated to ministries that are designed, Ministry of Labor, for example, the Nigerian Director of Employment, for example, the Nigerian Industrial Institute, these are agencies that tend to be able to inculcate industries that teach, sectors, agencies that teach skills. We're talking about automation skills, we're talking about constructive, extractive industry. That has actually been a challenge. And with this particular story now by Mr. Oluwatobi, I think that's a very good way. It's also to be able to now assure the government, we put the government to account. I think that's just our own job here. Let's be able to bring such data to the government to ensure that what is allocated, and what we're also calling their attention to other critical sector of the economy as well. It is also important that these actually trickle down to those that is actually expected to be able to get to. Now, I think that's what I'd like to talk on. Should I talk about that?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Was Mr. Peter Obi. I think that's 2-hour extensive story, but I was talking to the producer yesterday. We were talking about it. One of the things I noticed and I observed is the fact that what is good, don't forget that campaign is going to start on the 19th, as we have agreed, August 19th. We're just counting down to it, where they needed to actually be able to unveil what they are going to do, or they're going to do different. But for that 2 hours, Deb, I can tell you that I don't think I'm so impressed with Mr. Obi anyway, because I think most of this, I'm just going to do this without showing, as most of the Gen Zs will say, show workings. I'm not ready to be able to show the workings, how it to be done. Because I feel like it is just the usual rhetorics of, I will grow the economy, I will handle security, I will do this. The only thing, the only 2 things that really stood out for me, and I found out quite distracting, was the invitation that he's going to spend 1 term. He's still insisting on that. And the question the guy asked him, about, tell me, you said you have not built schools since you have been, I mean, when you were at Anambra State for 8 years. What Mr. Obi said was the fact that it was among those when you were actually talking about one of the states, Odumegwu University in Anambra, is a state university. That it started from cutting the bushes and the likes, you know. And something we were not hard enough, because I think that when the school was actually founded, I was trying to do my own research practically this morning to see when the school was founded and when they said they actually able to could be under campus of the university within the state. And so some of the response there is not so detailed as to what they're going to do differently. And then I think they talk about, no, don't show people what we're going to do, just keep your card to your chest. I think at this point in time, you need to be able to make the cards open to Nigerians. You need to convince me that I should be able to vote for you. So I need to be able to say you're going to do things differently, not I will let the security. I will go economy by this way. How will you do it? I think that's actually very, very instructive. I want you to be able to do that. And finally, so what I want to talk about there was the Naira. Yeah, the Naira, right? Thank you very much. The Naira holding firm. I think we have actually been able to attribute that to three main reasons. The growing reserves have actually been able to do that, even though the central bank now have, they've tried to be able to win themselves off from defending the Naira. The usual, because one of the things Emefiele, former governor Godwin Emefiele did during the administration was to be able to use the reserves to be able to buffer or defend the Naira. And that even extended to the ways and means advance. There was about $21 billion that, we have to actually be able to print money to defend it, and that affected our reserves. So I think there are three things that actually be able to account for that. Because normally what you expect is if dollar is gaining strength, Naira will be weakening. Yeah. It's more or less it's a mutually exclusive kind of a thing. If one is strengthening, it's an inverse relationship. But we observe that Naira is actually holding steady. Is that clear now? Holding steady. And I said the growing reserves is a factor, investor confidence is another factor, and the fact that I think Iran, the Middle Eastern war now, is stepping off a little bit. The tension is cooling. We've seen that the price of oil has actually go back below $100 again at the beginning of yesterday. And it appears that the warring parties are gradually returning back to the negotiation table to be able to talk about it. So I think those are some of the factors actually responsible to, but is the CBN defending the Naira, defending it in a way, rather than the usual quantitative easing and monetary policy instrument that they use. I do really think the central bank has actually been doing that.
Okay. All right, now let's then move to another dailies this morning. We'll then move to the Guardian newspaper. And the big story on the Guardian newspaper this morning reads, credibility doubt heightens over worsening violence, stolen PVCs. Credibility doubt heightened over worsening violence, stolen PVCs. I think we have a rider to that story, and that is speaking to the Osun Guba Pose. And at the top of the Guardian newspaper, we have federal government begins 70 billion naira debt payment to petrol marketers as prices crash to $88 per barrel, and that is on page 3. Resident doctors strike disrupt healthcare services at Louth, and that is also on page 3 of the Guardian. And we have auctioneers fault EFCC's e-auction process, and that is on page 7. On the corner of the Guardian newspaper, we have investors gain 74.1 trillion naira in 1 year as market value surges by 87%, and that is on page 15. Necessity of Nigeria's response to xenophobia in South Africa, and that is on page 12. And also we have PFIPC scandal. House orders IGP to produce fake DG, uncovers 29 suspected forged documents, and that is on page 6. We have Ondo lawmakers accuse Aiyedatiwa of meddling in assembly crisis, and that is on page 5. And also we have Atiku Sokapol demands FG's action as gunmen kill 30 in fresh Kaduna attack, and that is on page 30. And also 176 war victims still in captivity as security operative neutralize over 40 bandits in Katsina State, and that is on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. Let's speak on the Osun Dubai election first.
Thank you. I mean, first, let us forget Osun State election, the gubernatorial election is coming up on the 15th of August, and there have been campaigners started, and we've seen the back and forth, between the major political gladiators. In fact, one of the things I think they did on Monday yesterday was the fact that Accord Party adopted President Tinubu as a presidential candidate.
Yeah.
And don't forget that the battle there is between Accord and APC, you know, and Accord just adopted the man as a presidential candidate yesterday. Whether it's a political expediency, whether it's a strategy, it's actually for the public to actually be able to discern that. Perhaps, we don't know. And we just saw them yesterday morning, you know, showing that the party, even though Mr. Gwengalayo Ashimi has actually come out to say he's presidential candidate, but we saw that yesterday. Then before Atakumasa West, the report broke out, you know, early in the morning yesterday. I thought I was coming to work when my timeline arrived there, that some stash of, you know, PVC were actually carted away. Even though INEC has actually come around to douse that tension, that it's just going to be one man, one person, one man. They are going to be able to do accreditation. So even if you're able to bring several PVCs, there's a way they will actually be able to, you know, screen such person out. But just like you read, I think the headline poses is the fact that credibility concerns will still be there. Because I'm sure at the end of the day, we'll finish elections, there will still be reverence to what happened, you know, to election matters. Because when most of the election monitoring we're actually talking about, you know, we said that the election should not be seen to be fair. It should not just be fair, it should be seen. People should perceive it. People should have that confidence that the election we are going through is actually going to be fair and fair. And we've seen a lot of like campaign of calumny, we've seen campaign of hate, you know. I think I heard the governor coming out yesterday, there was a particular bridge in Lameko, in the particular area, that was damaged, you know, deliberately sabotaged by some people in the state. A bridge that was recently constructed, went into billions of naira. And then the attention of the governor was called. I think we should commend the governor for that, Mr. Delike, for quickly, you know, coming to that rescue, and the bridge was actually fixed. So we've seen the attack, you know. In fact, it has extended to the NURTW in Osun State. The group, maybe one group is loyal to the APC, another group is loyal to the government themselves, you know. And we've seen, you know, the back and forth around that. So, but I think what is very important is just those credibility concerns, just like you read, because just like you, I'm sure that by the time we finish the elections now, the losing party will definitely, regardless of where the pendulum swings, we're going to refer back to this, that, oh, can you imagine the sash? We've still be able to look at that. Now, yesterday, because I was listening to the INEC CVR head lead yesterday, was INEC just finished registration for the 2027 election. I mean, you cannot be able to register again. And I'm sure you have your PVC too as well. So for new registrants who are just coming on board, about 1.1 million people that usually registered across the state. So eventually it ended on Sunday night. So which means that by tomorrow, INEC said August 4, they will release the register. So they can be able to screen out if you have a mistake on your name, somebody is there, they can actually be able to do that before they add it to the tranche. You know, we're talking about new registrants, people that just clock 18 years and above, you know. So they've actually been doing that. That's extended, and it finished eventually. They started August last year. It finished July. Even though they are in campaign as well. Oh, I need to be able to extend the date. Give them. You know, Nigerians sometimes we die many things. Always, if it's about registrar for your MTN, your NIN, people have to wait to the die moment, right? And everybody was actually in a mad rush. So we started seeing that call again. I said, no, these supposed to have expired on the 7th of July. We extended for 2 weeks, which was extended on 26th on Sunday night. We will see that. But I'm sure Osun is now of the storm. It's another litmus test anyway for Professor Josh Amoputon as well, and the INEC is another very litmus test. I heard, because this is the last election they will do before the general election on January 16, 2027. So it is very important they put that, I think, in perspective. The other one there, I think, is a story that really resonated with me yesterday, Deb, was the Mr. Adeni Adeyemi. Remember, it's an unfolding story. You can never be able to leave him out. And the Secretary of the Federation, Mr. Shamsuddin Ogunjimi, was there yesterday. And he raised some very vital things about this phantom agency. You know, in the fact that, the man has actually been trying to be sneaky with them, because they've actually asked him to be able to produce some document they couldn't produce. And at least the independent panel from the House of Reps ordered that he must be produced tomorrow, July 29. So I'm sure a lot of people are actually waiting. Let them come and see the man. Let them come and tell us his own side of the story. So at least to face the panel led by Mr. Gagdi, to come and tell us what actually, what all these conspiracies and all these things actually be able to happen around it. Because ever since the PFIPC scandal, you know, came to light, we've seen, you know, we're talking about it, we've seen strings of other events. You know, the church mosque intervention, allocation I told you about now. The one about empowerment, even higher than ministries, you know, some of the scandals have actually been working in the administration. And how some of those is actually finding their ways into the budget. I think it's actually generating a lot of reports, and Nigerians actually asking questions. Then another thing was the fact that we had as South African delegates in Nigeria on Friday. The president has refused to see them. President Ramaphosa sent them here to come and beg Nigerians. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm sure Nigerians find people. So today they should meet the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Mr. Sheon Enikolai. because in fact the president had just refused to see the delegation. They were sent by the president of Ramaphosa himself to come around there, come and apologize to Nigerians. And then we are still asking, no way, I think we're going to likely take this case to ICC because it just came out of Nigeria yesterday. That the man and a beer man, that was just also killed as well. You know, it's still and this is state sponsored. This is state backed. You know, extrajudicial killing that we needed to actually be able to talk about. I think the final thing I would just like to talk about there was the fact that the oil prices, I think I mentioned that earlier, it has gone down below $100. As of last week, it went north of 100 because of, it seems like maybe I would say normalcy or rationality is beginning to take shape between US and Iran. They want to return back, even though they've told the original agreement, they wanted to be able to go back, and that is actually sending signals to the market.
Yeah. All right. Now let's move on to the Punch newspaper. The big story on the Punch newspaper this morning reads: Fake agency probe. House faces pressure to summon Bajab Yamila. And the writer to that story, reps order IGP to produce controversial DD at DME within 48 hours. And calls grow to invite COS Akume over 400 million naira bribery claim and others. And another rider, no fund released despite approvals, Accountant General tells rep. And that story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. At the top of the Punch newspaper, we have the xenophobia. Minister meets South Africa envoy after Tinubu's snub, and that is on page 7. And also Senate defend boss preaching bill that amid public backlash, and that is on page 29. And also Obi Kwankwaso ticket sparks fresh NNPP to NDC showdown, and that is on page 29. And we have 30 killed, houses burnt in fresh Kaduna attack, and that is on page 12. And below the Punch newspaper, 2 killed, 3 rescued in Anambra student hostel collapse. This is really sad. And that is on page 2. And also we have speakers impeachment. Ondo lawmakers issue fresh ultimatum, accuses Aiyedatiwa. And we also have Nigerian woman dies of cardiac arrest during UK visits. And finally, that is 5.7 billion naira probe court adjourns trial of ex-Kwara governor commissioner. We can speak on the fake agency probe already. Fingers crossed till tomorrow to see. How.
I think that one there is still the story of the xenophobic attack in South Africa. So I just wanted to go to.
Good thing the minister actually, met up with
them.
The
minister will likely meet with the envoy, the president Cyril Ramaphosa. The president Cyril Ramaphosa sent the delegates to Nigeria. Just like you read there, the president snubbed them. The news just be able to came to light yesterday. In fact, they have been in Nigeria since Friday. And they've been trying to be able to see the president, and of course, I don't think it's an fact-finding mission. Maybe just on a courtesy visit and to be able to beg, but I'm sure the way that it has been treated in Ghana as well. Remember, the Ghana ordered the president's supposed to be there last week, and the order they should not be able to come to their country. So it seems like people are giving them to them, as they call it, the Glasgow. Sorry for using the word. They are giving it back to them. They will be to also be able to receive it. So, but we heard that the minister of Foreign Affairs, Mrs. Bianca Ojukwu herself, and then the Minister of State, that's Mr. Shola Enikonlayi, the 2 of them will likely be those to be able to meet the delegations who actually come in today at the State House. But the president has actually just dissociated himself from whatever is happening. I don't know whether you agree with that anyway.
Yeah, I do agree with it.
Maybe I just felt like maybe give them an audience and listen to it. There have been those controversies that have been generated. Another thing was a story that also broke yesterday in Kaduna State, unfortunately.
30 killed.
30 killed. Just people were sleeping, and then it appears that we are not out of the woods yet. Even though we've actually been able to have remarkable success, we've been gaining some grounds, but some of these deadly elements, this criminal element, are still beefing up somewhere, planning to be able to attack us. And this lay credence to, I don't know whether you followed the story last week of one of these Borno South leader, Ibrahim Samaila, who has been saying that they are on meet and break now. They are on meet and break now. They are not. He said,
but we kind of enjoyed some peace and quiet. It's not up to 30 days.
Yeah, that's what he said when he mentioned that when they already says what he meet and break. Because I think he was saying as he was the spokesperson of this terror groups. But this is what is happening. In fact, the China launched attack in Zamfara before it was actually repelled, and then the Nigerian military repelled them. And that is quite really, really unfortunate. that we need to be able to deal with these people. And finally, and I'm sure you laugh around that, was the public bill. I mean, bill to be able to
I love because
to be able to ban
of all the things we're dealing with killings. We spoke about it yesterday during one of the segments, on Business Day. And it's very laughable.
Okay, you think is it a good bill to pass?
I don't think it is,
because they had a public memorandum. So just imagine being in a bus and someone.
That should be a social issue.
Should be able to be, so you should be conscious of other people's. We're all in the bus together.
Okay, what about this? Okay. Thank God we are of two different religion. Okay. There are times where I am driving in Lagos and then there are congestion because it's probably 2:00. It's time for the Muslim prayers, and we have the Muslim brethren at the middle of the road.
Oh wow, that's not should be allowed. That should be criminalized.
Well, it happens a lot.
So that's
a lot. So and for me, I try to see from people's point of view, like they'll be there for like few minutes.
Even like mosque, for example.
Yeah.
You are not expected to raise your voice to disturb the person sitting.
Yes, I totally understand.
You say because I want to worship my God, for example.
Yeah, that's bringing me to my point. I think it's a social issue. It shouldn't be a national issue. It shouldn't be there are many other things that
I know take religion,
our time and not, who is preaching in the bus. I made a statement yesterday and I said that, it is very understandable that I'm in the bus and all I care about is I just want to get to my location and then you are telling me to give my life to Christ and all of that. I don't want to have that, but that should be between me and the person preaching or the driver. Not so what I'm saying there is you not dealt with the bill that you passed for the police officers. Is it now a stranger who is preaching, or who that you give him 100 naira, 200 naira? He's not preaching. He hopes that you give him something.
Maybe that's one thing. If truly is actually able to bear, because I felt like I know that sometimes I've had a very hectic day at work, and sometimes in fact I use that as a point to really just relax my head before maybe I get, just like you're saying, I really just to be able to come up with these, because that's what I'm saying. Those ones that you said are preaching are spraying on the road should be arrested. I'm talking about should be, because that's the one. What I'm saying, that whatever you do, you should ensure that you don't be able to place burden on other people. You must actually be responsive, be conscious, and ensure that you are sensitive to other people's plight as well. So that was it. So if you're going your way now, somebody just able to now lay something on the road and started praying there. Or in fact, that's why now in Lagos we're sure that most of the mosques now, your public address system should be inside the mosque.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough to actually pass bill. I remember growing up in Lagos every Saturday when you actually go to like bus stops and junctions and all of that, you see canopy and people blasting loud music.
I know that
it has. It's not even go through all this. We have to pass.
That's in Lagos. In Lagos now, it's just now. It's actually a national thing. If you're sleeping in your house and the mosque made an early morning prayer to disturb you, and you go and look at their speaker, it was actually
it still happens though.
I know I'm saying that if you charge them for that. I remember what's our estate now. You ensure that once you've been able to do that, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you finish that. Whatever thing you want to do, you put off your speaker and do your prayer inside the mosque. And then you must not allow that to be able to disturb you, because I know of course.
You should leave the preachers that are trying to do for their daily bread.
Okay.
All right, let's now move on to the Vanguard newspaper. That's going to be the final days this morning before we end with the cartoon of the day. The big story, also the PFIPC story, how it was created, and that is coming from the Accountant General. The reps summon Adeyemi, other IGP, to produce him tomorrow. And at the top of Vanguard, we have sugar. Nigerian risks losing African market over high production cost. And that is on page 20. And Medi rolls out may pass to operationalize local days. And that is on page 29. I'm lost.
I think that's a food. I don't know Jesse will know all this. Even I look at the story as well.
We would have to confirm what that is.
Okay.
The new minimum wage, 70,000 naira now poverty pay, and that is coming from the Labour Congress. And of course, Tinubu to announce fresh pay increase for soldiers soon, and that is coming from the Defense Minister. And at the corner of the Vanguard newspaper, we have candidates uploads. APC, PDP, ADC, others didn't meet INEC July 11th deadline, and that is from a source. And also Kwara APC stronger, ready for 2027 victory. And that is from Abdul Razak. And also still on xenophobia, Tinubu snub poses envoy as federal government demands early warning pact ratification. And ADC raises alarm over intimidation of opposition parties in Rivers, and that is on page 14. Students, others feared dead as hostel collapse in Anambra State, and that is on page 7. And 30 killed in southern Kaduna as residents flee Chawai, and that is on page 6. I think it's the same story.
But I think the only other story there, that I think caught my attention is the minimum wage. The need for us to be able to,
Of course, we've had several conversations.
So the president will likely be, in fact, I'm really looking at that. I think this I'm looking at. The president would like to be able to ride on for APC. There's the fact that they are trying to be able to propose 100,000 minimum wage. I don't know whether you have read Mr. Shore's manifesto. You need to propose 100,000 minimum wage that is going to be able to raise it to. And I think the federal government has also to be able to do the same thing. So that I think 70,000 is, I think I agree with that. It's no longer sustainable at the moment. We're talking about every other thing. It is not mandatory to be done. And the other story I want to just quickly jump on there is the deadline of INEC as well that was actually given for
the candidates upload.
And there have been some ripples, about that as well. Why that has not been the case. Now APC have uploaded their governorship list except fully for Adamawa, where they felt that there's still some issues. The same thing applies to ADC. They know that ADC have actually been out of the storm. I think other than that, I think every other story is fine.
All right, let's then move to the cartoon of the day. Let's see what we have on the cartoon of the day this morning. A very interesting one, I must say. After I posted this on my socials this morning, people reacted and they asked me a question like, "Oh, where's Peter Obi?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, where's Peter Obi?" Yeah. Oh my God. Why is he supposed to be in this cartoon? Of course, we have the caricature of the president and Atiku Abubakar, and and this is what they call snowball, right? Or snookers, yes. This is what, and the ball is allegation.
Listen to that fella song those days.
You'll be thief. I'll not be thief. You'll be robber.
I mean, the attack has been frontal.
Yeah. This is a case of a thief calling pots calling kettle black.
I mean, for two of them, I think they are incident. The bottom is William Jefferson stand out. That dangle over Mr. Atiku's head, and the $460,000 for feature Tinubu as well in 1996. Even though there are reports as that been cleared in the case of the president, because don't forget that the Presidential Electoral Petition Committee attended to that particular case during the last electoral dispute. The 2023 presidential electoral disputes. The PPC attended to that particular matter then. And for the fact that the lobbyist group, set up by Mr. Atiku Abubakar, the Van Buren, Motangwe, York LLC group, that he signed a deal with, tried to be able to raise it again. I wanted to be able to talk about that Kentucky case. That this man forfeited, the president forfeited $460,000. It can't be smoke without fire. For him to have forfeited that amount of money, there must be something behind it. I wanted to say that. But at the same time, we are asking Mr. Atiku, come and tell us about the Button scandal. This money about power during the Obasanjo time. You'll not be able to clear your name, and I'm sure as the day goes by, as it comes around, we'll definitely be able to see what's going to happen.
All right, that's the much that we have for you this morning on the newspaper review. Of course, the Business Morning Live show still continues after this break. Do stay with us.
of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, BusinessDay fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. BusinessDay is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, BusinessDay is your guide.
For 25 years, BusinessDay has delivered credible journalism, intelligent analysis, and decision-shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, BusinessDay now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. This innovation reinforces our commitment to being not just a news platform, but also a smart, accessible, and future-ready business intelligence hub. As we celebrate 25 years of impact, we step confidently into the future, powered by technology, driven by credibility, and focused on you. Visit the new BusinessDay website today and experience the future of news.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Moses.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
Welcome back to the Business Morning Live Show right here on Business Day Television. I am Deborah Eze. Now let's move to our topics of conversation this morning. We're examining building resilient businesses through quality, safety, and risk management. In today's business environment, resilience is no longer just about surviving tough times. It's about building systems that enable businesses to adapt, recover, and grow. Whether it's managing operational risk, ensuring workplace safety, maintaining quality standards, or navigating an increasingly complex regulatory landscape, these factors have become essential to long-term business success. And joining us this morning to unpack these issues is Emmanuel Kasili, a QHSE and management consulting professional. Good morning, Emmanuel. It's good to have you on the Business Morning Live. Do we have you, Emmanuel? Good morning.
Can you hear me clearly, please?
All right, now let's start with the big picture. When we talk about building resilient businesses, what does resilience really mean in today's business environment?
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning. I'm Emmanuel again. And when we talk about resilience, especially in the context of business resilience, it's more of the ability of an organization to anticipate disruption, challenges, and most importantly, respond effectively, adapt quickly, and continue creating value regardless of its challenges it's faced. I mean, today's business environment is so much characterized by rapid technological change, economic uncertainty. We have the cyber threats, we have changes in regulations, supply chains disruptions, and customer expectations shifting. And the truth is, as humans, we also undergo uncertainty, we also undergo challenges. But what makes us different is the ability to thrive in this. So resilient businesses are not just those that never experience problems. They are those that have systems in place. For example, leadership, culture to recover quickly and often emerge stronger. So in my own view, resilience is mostly built on three foundations. First, strong leadership, having the business system in place, and most importantly, continuous improvement.
Right. Quality, safety, and also risk management, they are often viewed as compliance requirements, if you can agree with me. So how can businesses turn them into a competitive advantage?
Okay, so I've seen this a lot with a lot of organizations. We need to first understand that compliance should be more of the minimum standard and not the end goal. Because the truth is, when organizations embraces quality, safety, and risk management strategically, they are not just doing it for regulatory bodies. They are doing it to improve efficiency, reduce waste, strengthen customers' confidence, and most importantly, make better decisions. And I'm going to give you an example. When you have good quality management system in place, what you do is you reduce reworks, you reduce customer complaints. It means you are improving customer satisfaction. Now, where there is an effective safety management, what you're doing is you're reducing injuries, and in turn, you're reducing downtime and you're protecting employees. And the same thing applies also when you have a strong risk management. What you're doing is you're anticipating challenges, you're anticipating problems that could occur, and you are putting mitigations so that they don't become crises in your organization. So compliance protects your license to operate, but excellence, doing it excellently, hands your license to grow.
So you've worked, from your bio here, you've worked across construction, automation, and also oil and gas sectors. Speak to us about the common lessons that you've learned that businesses in any industry can also apply.
Okay, so irrespective of the industries that I've operated in, the truth is every successful organization share a kind of similar characteristics. And the first and most priority is leadership commitment. Once the leadership are in tune with the right organization culture, with the right culture, it transcends to the organization. So leadership commitment always shapes organization culture. Now, the second, which is one of the things in my industry, or should I say my expertise, is always preaching, is putting systems in place. Because the truth is, systems will consistently outperform individual efforts. And because systems make sure things go right in tune, even without your own input physically. And thirdly, organizations that measure performance will always improve. And so in my industry, or should I say in my expertise, we do something we call the PDCA, which is the Plan, Do, Check, Act. So in this, it makes sure that yes, as much as you've attained a level of good compliance or a level of quality management system or health and safety management system, you still continually check and act on whatever improvements that needs to be done. So what I've observed in many businesses is the more you invest in all this, for example, even in employee development, when you do this, you most likely will deliver good results.
So let's talk about the SMEs. Many SMEs, they operate with limited resources. That is one barrier that SMEs, SMEs have. So what are some affordable and also practical ways that they can improve quality management without having to overstretch their budget?
Thank you. So first, quality management doesn't have to be expensive. It is not. I mean, small or medium-sized enterprise can start with documenting key business processes. I've had the opportunity to work with religious organizations, most especially in improving their management system, especially when it comes to quality. And one of the things I emphasize on is documentation, because what it does is it makes even handovers easier. It makes persons who are just new into the system understand basic things. And another most important one is listening actively to customers' feedback, because whatever you're doing is to satisfy someone, either product or services, you're satisfying a customer. And so listening actively to customer feedback is one of the key things SMEs can imbibe into trying to improve their quality management system. And another is to develop a simple checklist. It doesn't have to be, especially now that we have the artificial intelligence, it doesn't have to be a thing that is of ambiguity or something big. A simple artificial intelligence can provide simple checklists, and most importantly, training staffs regularly. I mean, a lot of organizations need to understand that improving your workers in terms of development is key to your organization growing also. And I would not take away what we call continuous check, and that is performance indicator. Funny enough, just a few months ago, I got a tag KPI, and that's because while working with an organization, I kept on emphasizing on whatever task or whatever project they are going on, what are the key indicators, key performance indicators they're going to use to measure if whatever project they have set out on was achieved. And for some it fell on the negative part, or should I say the bad side for them. But the truth is, measuring meaningful performance indicator is one of the things SMEs can put in order to improve their quality management system. And meetings, standardizing routine activities, these are also things SMEs can begin to do. So it's not something expensive. See, technology has made quality management more accessible. I mean, there are a lot of cloud-based tools, there are a lot of instruments that can be used right now that are as little as, not expensive.
Let's talk about risks now. Risks is something that is inevitable in businesses, but not all businesses are prepared for it in as much as, they have that in mind. So what are the biggest risks that Nigerian businesses should be paying attention to today?
So there are several risks that stands out a lot, but most importantly, which we can't argue, especially in this part of the country, is economic volatility. And that's because we have the inflation, we have exchange rate fluctuation, especially now that things have been made to be parallel. So there's nothing like one person is influencing it. More of it's something that can happen all resorting. So these are risks organizations should be paying attention to. And then we have the cybersecurity risk. So as much as we are having technological advancements, we are also having risk associated to this. So cybersecurity risks are so much increasing, and businesses becoming more digital. Businesses adopting all this artificial intelligence need to also be aware of this. And then we have the operational disruption, and we're talking about power supply chain, and we're talking about transportations, and these continually will continue to affect many organizations, except those who have built out a system in place and then know how to minimize their risk exposure to this. And then we have the talent retention. It is one critical issue that I have seen in various organizations that I've worked in. Skilled professionals will always seek opportunities elsewhere. It is one of the things businesses should be paying attention to. How, as much as you have your customers, you need to understand what we call in quality management system, your internal customers, your internal persons you are responsible to. So you need to understand their own need also, and try as much as possible to meet up with it. I can also speak on regulatory compliance, which is becoming very, very important, especially for Lagos State. I've had to deal with a lot of regulatory bodies in the space of this year alone, and being compliant is one of the things that can help you remain in business. And we have climate-related risk, environmental sustainability, and I mean, the truth is, businesses should move from crisis management to being proactive, and that is risk management. Thank you.
So how can they build a proactive culture around, workplace safety and also risk management, rather than reacting after, the incident has occurred?
Okay. So as regards building, building a risk management is not something difficult. I mean, if organization actually prioritize good culture, and I mean positive culture, then one of the things organizations should be putting in place is prioritizing the likes of safety, prioritizing quality, prioritizing their customers. And to do that, it means you have to develop a risk management using a risk methodology. And this involves understanding what you are supposed to. So in quality management system, we categorize it in different segments. There are those who has to do with your regulatory bodies. You understand how you're prone to them. Your internal persons who you are prone to. Your customers are one also, and even your suppliers are also people you are prone to. So you doing a risk management is you understanding this risk and then putting mitigations in place. Now, it is not one thing to just put mitigations in place, like I've said earlier on. Another thing that is important is you continually checking, you continually making sure you are improving on the risk management, on the mitigations you have put in place.
No, technology is actually transforming the way businesses operate, how digital tools and artificial intelligence is changing quality control, assurance, safety, and also risk management. So speak to us about how, these tools are actually changing artificial intelligence and how it is also changing the quality assurance, safety, and risk management.
Okay, so yes, we can all agree that technology is transforming every discipline. I mean, from being reactive to predictive, we now have the artificial intelligence that can identify patterns, especially the ones as human. I mean, we human are prone to mistakes. So the truth is, with artificial intelligence, we can now have predictive maintenance. There are inspections that can be automated. I said something about small businesses can have a simple checklist. And I said something that artificial intelligence can just help you create a checklist. So instead of you overlooking some certain things when you're doing your inspection, what the checklist does is the major things that needs to be checked. You can look through the checklist to tick them out. So artificial intelligence has helped with preventive maintenance, automated inspections. In fact, it has gone as far as real-time safety monitoring. Currently, I'm doing what we call functional safety, and one of the things it has exposed me to is how real-time safety monitoring works. There's the intelligent risk analysis, there's the audits, digital audits, and then the incident trend analysis. So what technology has helped us done or is doing or transforming way businesses operate, it makes quality assurance, safety, and risk management even less easier, even more attainable. And so businesses that effectively combine technology and human expertise will likely gain a significant competitive advantage over those who are still slowing on it. And my message on this to a lot of organizations is, as little as you can, start now, start implementing artificial intelligence to your system.
All right. Still on risks and management control. Let's now look at the businesses considering ISO certification. What are the real benefits beyond simply just earning a certificate? Does it translate into better performance and profitability?
So so the truth is the certificate itself doesn't transform a business. I see a lot of organizations brag about being ISO certified, ISO 45001 certified, ISO 14001 certified, and the likes. The value lies in implementing this management system effectively. So the truth is, a well-implemented ISO management system will enable an organization to improve consistency. For 9001, you are enhancing customer satisfaction. You're reducing waste. You are clarifying roles and responsibility, improving your risk management. You are now making data-driven decisions. You're strengthening continuous improvement. So it is not just getting the certificate. The major thing is implementing what is being spoken about. So when we talk about ISO management system, it has process, it has things that are expected, the minimum things that are expected of organization. So implementing this is what enables organizations to actually function effectively. And the truth is, for organizations, don't just pursue certificates. The truth is, pursue it for capability. Pursue it for the capability that it's built. So certification, yes, is good for, it's a good validation for good practices, but the major thing is implementing it.
All right, looking at the Nigerian business landscape now, what do you believe separate businesses that survive periods of uncertainty from those that struggle? Emmanuel, do we still have you?
I didn't get you there.
All right, I want us to look at the Nigerian business landscape. What do you believe separates businesses that survive periods of uncertainty from those that struggle?
So the difference often lies in preparedness rather than luck for many organizations. So you see that successful businesses, they plan for certainty. One of the things they do is they invest in people. They manage their cash flow effectively. And I mentioned something about when you are implementing the whole ISO management system, decisions are made based on data. In other words, you're building strong customer relationship and most importantly, continuous improvement. So for businesses that survive uncertainty, one of the things they have done is, first, the leadership commitment is in place. There's a proper system in place, and they have made sure that continuous improvement is a part of their system.
All right, and finally, before I let you go, Emmanuel, if you have just one piece of advice for entrepreneurs and businesses, business leaders, businesses looking to build resilient and sustainable businesses, what would it be?
Okay, firstly, I would, my advice would be to build a system first. Build a system first, because don't wait till you have the big organization. As little as you build a system first. Don't wait till growth. Don't wait till there's now crisis. Don't wait till there's an accident before investing in safety. Don't wait till there's a customer complaint before you start improving your quality. businesses become resilient because they consistently prepare, not because they are fortunate, not because they are lucky. So I would encourage every business leader to view quality, safety, and risk management not as an operational function, but as a strategic investment in long-term success. And I won't shy away from the fact that at times these things may seem expensive, especially when you build more on it. For SMEs, you can start as small as you can, but as an organization, as you grow, you need to put in more funds, more time, more resources into those management systems. And yes, it could cost something, but the truth is, in the long term, you would benefit from it. It will pay. So the truth is that the businesses that lead tomorrow are not necessarily the biggest or the oldest. They're the ones that learn fast, they adapt quick, and have built systems that don't just create trust, but create trust, protect people, manage risk, and develop consistent value.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. It's really good to have you on the Business Morning Live. All right, we're on to Emmanuel Casali. He's a QHSC and management consulting professional. And still to come on the show, we're going to be looking at CBN's 2.56 trillion naira liquidity injection. What does it mean for the economy? Do stay with us.
At Providus Bank, we're committed to your growth and success. You're never alone on the journey. Our personalized relationship banking is how we do things together. It's what sets us apart. We value every individual and partnership and treat them as such. We're committed to helping you grow and celebrating your success. This is your life story, your future, your forward. This is all about you. Let's move you forward. Providus Bank.
For 25 years, BusinessDay has delivered credible journalism, intelligent analysis, and decision-shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, BusinessDay now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. This innovation reinforces our commitment to being not just a news platform, but also a smart, accessible, and future-ready business intelligence hub. As we celebrate 25 years of impact, we step confidently into the future, powered by technology, driven by credibility, and focused on you. Visit the new BusinessDay website today and experience the future of news.
Right, this is still the Business Day CEO Forum here at a hotel and suite. I'm still speaking to our CEOs, business leaders, and key stakeholders across the business landscape. And I'm here with the MD and the CEO of Energia, Mr. Oladimeji Basharon. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr.
Thank you also
Basharon.
for having me here.
Talk to me about your key takeaway. You just finished a panel right now. Talk to me about some of the proceedings from that panel.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I really want to say thank you to Business Day, 14 years of doing this, of actually having us to dialogue, bringing both the private, the government, and everybody in to have a conversation. My first takeaway is that we all have a responsibility as Nigerians, whether as CEO or even as a citizen, to make sure that we invest and we are part of this country. That's the first one. The second thing is also, it's not just government alone. I sit on a company that our annual revenue is in billions of naira. So I need to ensure that at not just delivering profit to the shareholders, that I also deliver value to Nigerians. We provide energy, and so we will comply and ensure that energy is provided. So I picked that up. The third one is also that we have an infrastructure deficit, and it will take all of us to invest into that. So it is going back now to look at our strategy and say, where do we fit into this stream as part of my takeaway from this forum.
Fantastic. And when we talk about where we fit into this stream, let's talk about the theme for today's event, which is from stability to shared prosperity. Now, what will shared prosperity look like for you from the lens of an energy lens? What would that look like?
Yeah, thank you. Very excellent question. So what does it mean for me? It means that we run a company that is first able to provide energy to drive growth for this nation, that we ensure that our energy is affordable, is available, and is accessible. That's the first thing, to make sure that we help businesses, the SMEs, the 90%, to be able to scale up, and they'll need energy. So that's the first one, so that they are also part of the shared prosperity. The second one is that individual Nigerians will provide employment, but not just employment, we provide intellectual capacity and growth for them, so that they also prosper intellectually, so it becomes shared. It's not just the company. We invest in development of people. So we move away from just having a typical engineer, but we provide a resource to the nation that somebody would be able to benefit. The third one is also to provide governance prosperity, that we have a group of leaders that can run the business even beyond us, and that's what we're investing into, to make sure that it's shared prosperity.
Nice. If you're to look right now, between now 2027 and then 10 years from now, what's a signal or trend or shift in your sector today that you would say that every business leader should be paying attention to, and why?
Yeah, the first one is technology. The AI is taking over the world. We cannot pretend that we are not going to be impacted. So we need to start investing in the technology. We need to also follow the trend in terms of the governance of AI, the technology that is. The second thing also now is that Nigerians are being entrusted with running the company. 60% of the oil and gas sector, the production of today, is provided by Nigerian oil companies. So we need to keep the trend up. When the international oil companies leave, Nigerians should be able to take it over and run it successfully. So that's the second trend. We need to keep up the trend. The third one also is that we are competing with the fintechs for resources. So we need to be attractive for people to come in. We need to go to the universities, ensure that we have enough, invest in development at the university level, partner with universities for researches, because we are competing with fintech for resources. They are very lucrative, and so that's a trend that we see that we must do something about, so that we are not out of business.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oladimeji Basharu, for stopping by at our booth today, and also just the insightful conversation. Brief and very, very impactful. Thank you very much.
And thank you also for having me. I really enjoyed the section today. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. This is still the Business Day CEO Forum, the 14th annual edition, and I've got a very lovely woman by my side this afternoon. Can you introduce yourself to us?
Absolutely. I'm Aderemi Saka. I'm the MD CEO of NASCON Allied Industries PLC, also known as Dangote Salt.
Fantastic. I'm going to start by asking you a simple question, really. NASCON Allied Industries relies almost entirely on imports, for its core raw materials, bringing in roughly $22 million to $24 million worth of goods annually. Now, tell me, how has this crisis in the Middle East, which has virtually halted, shipping fundamentally, has it shifted your organization's long-term approach to maritime risk management?
For us, it hasn't really impacted in terms of our imports, but the cost of importation has gone up. Our freight charges used to run between $21 and $25, and now we're seeing freight anywhere from $31 to $40. So that definitely has a significant impact on our cost. But what we are doing as a business is to also look at ways in which we can trim down on other costs. And so we've really looked at cost-saving initiatives across the board to be able to cushion that weight, because you definitely don't want to pass that on to your consumers.
Right. So we see manufacturers are increasingly turning to backward integration to reduce their dependence on imported raw materials. So how has this strategy helped your company?
In terms of backward integration of salt, that is very difficult because based on research, salt is you're not able to cultivate and to manufacture salt at the large scale within the country. But we're looking at all our other resources to see how we can really rely on local manufacturers. That is across the board in terms of our packaging material, in terms of other additives that we have to not just our salt, but also our seasoning. We're definitely relying more on local manufacturers to support those endeavors.
Now, you talked about something right there on the stage. You mentioned that energy cost amounts to up to 40% of your total input cost. So tell us more about that. Like, just break it down for us.
So that is an average across the nation, across manufacturing companies. You're seeing 30 to 40% of your costs are from energy costs. So what we have done as a business is, one, we try to ensure that all of our plants, they're running in the most efficient manner. We have a mix of both AGO generators and gas power generators. And so that is able to mitigate some of that cost. And then, again, but the major thing I would say is efficiency, ensuring that you're producing in an efficient manner and you're optimizing your capacity so that way your variable costs are significantly less per product.
Fantastic. I think we'll just leave it there today because we know you have to run and we have to wrap up. But thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you very much.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musa.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that BusinessDay Television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musa.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that BusinessDay Television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
For 25 years, Business Day has delivered credible journalism, intelligent analysis, and decision-shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, Business Day now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria.
Watching Business Morning Live. Let's now move to our second conversation this morning. Nigeria's financial system is set to receive an estimated 2.56 trillion naira in liquidity this week, largely driven by maturing government securities and other market operations. The development has sparked conversations about what this means for banks, businesses, investors, and the broader economy. Will the additional liquidity translate into more lending to the real sector, ease borrowing costs, and stimulate economic activities? Or will it simply find its way back into government securities, limiting its impact on businesses and consumers? And of course, to help us unpack the implication, we're being joined by Samuel. Good morning, Samuel. It's good to have you.
Yeah, thanks. Good morning, Deborah. Thanks for having me.
All right, now, to begin, what exactly does a 2.56 trillion naira liquidity injection mean, and why is it significant?
Yeah, so basically what it means is that banks now have additional over 2.5 trillion in their coffers. And the simple explanation is that government had sold some securities probably at this point in time last year or a couple of months ago, either through OMO or treasury bills or even bonds, for example. And then they are maturing this month, of course. So you're seeing the repayment of those maturities back to both banks and individuals. And that's just pretty much what is happening. So 2.56 trillion is what we expect to come into system liquidity, most of which will find themselves in the banking sector.
All right, so why is this liquidity coming from? Where is it coming from? I beg your pardon. And is it a deliberate intervention by the CBN or simply the result of maturing treasury bills and other financial instruments?
Obviously, it's not a deliberate intervention. Of course, this is not a case of where banks, the CBN starts printing new naira notes. I think when we had that was the days of ways and means, and also as a result to fight the level of hardship during the COVID-19. But this era is just maturing, like I mentioned. Of course, we have T-bills, OMO bills that are maturing during this period. I think we did some estimations earlier this month that the amount of OMO that is maturing this month alone is somewhere around over 6 trillion naira. And we understand why, because in recent time, the CBN had been adopting a very tight monetary policy, which of course is meant to attract foreign portfolio investors, most of which will find themselves through OMO bills. And so interest rates are high. They raised they mopped up a lot of funds from the system as a result of those bills. And of course, they're maturing now. You find those funds being paid back in forms of maturity to the investors, either banks or foreign investors.
So how does an increase in banking system liquidity typically affect the interest rates and also the credit conditions?
Yeah, so basically, when you just look at it face value, right? When you have high system liquidity, short-term interest rate like interbank rates, and some of those money market rates, you find that rates beginning to decline. Because of course, what it means is that banks now have a lot more liquidity to meet their short-term needs. and they don't have to go over through overnight rates or through overnight systems or some form of repo system with other banks to be able to meet some of the obligations. So when you have this liquidity, of course, you don't have to borrow as much, and as a result of that, interest rates at those and short-term interest rate begin to slow down. But this does not typically impact the broader interest rate environment and the credit condition in the system, because interest rates are still relatively high from a borrowing cost point of view. NPR is 26.5. It has remained at that region for a while now. And we're seeing bank borrowing somewhere in the region of that 25 to 30%. So of course, we expect that those borrowing costs will still remain at those levels. So yes, to your question, it only impacts the short-term interest rate, especially for bank-to-bank transactions. But it's always short-term because, again, the belief is that this injection will still be mopped up through some form of insurance in the very short-term future.
Right. So do you think businesses, particularly SMEs, should expect easier access to loans, or high borrowing costs likely to persist?
Like I mentioned, I think businesses should still look at it from a cautious, optimistic point of view, because system liquidity increases from time. In fact, at some point this year, we've seen liquidity rise over 7 trillion naira. And at the beginning of the year, we also saw it fall below somewhere around 940, a negative supply of about 940 something million. So it tends to move like a sinusoidal wave, right? In recent time, we found system liquidity hovering around 1.5 trillion to 3.5 trillion at some point 4 trillion naira. So these are things that are normal in a market that expects some level of fluidity. So I don't expect SMEs to see this as a sign of easing credit. It's not. Before we can get to that point, inflation will need to moderate. The CBN will need to change its course, right, from a tight monetary policy towards a more loosening one. Then the banks and other borrowing agents can now start moving towards that trajectory by reducing credits. But of course, this does not mean that lending or would reduce at any point. In fact, banks consider way more than that. The fact that they have a lot more money with them does not mean that they naturally give out credit, because they also now consider things around credit risk, inflation expectations, currently at 15.91%. Again, and a number of things around regulatory requirements. Don't forget that CRL is still somewhere higher, around 45%. So again, the combination of those factors will still hinder the banks from giving as much credit to SMEs as contrary to what might be expected because of the such.
So Samuel, do you think this level of liquidity will complicate the CBN's fight against inflation, especially if excess cash fuels consumer demand?
Yes, it could, right? But like I say, this is like it's something that we see every time. Because when you look at inflation from the two sides of types of inflation, cost push and demand pull, the demand pull side of things is where a surge in money supply or a surge in liquidity tends to drive, because when you have a lot more money with people, if you have a lot more money with the banks, and banks have a lot more credit or lower cost to the people, then that could drive demand for production that is not there. And that could stoke inflation. But I don't think that's going to be the case, because a lot more, the most driver of inflation in Nigeria is cost push, either as a result of FX instability or global tensions, or just the fact that input cost of many other things in Nigeria is just high. And on the back of that, inflation rises, all things around food seasonality. So for me, I don't think it complicates it. On paper, it can, but with where we are right now, the increased liquidity of 2.5 trillion naira is not enough. Because if you add that to the balance as of Friday, it's probably going to take it to somewhere around 5 trillion naira. That's not enough to cause any much inflation from a demand side. So yes, I think it will remain relatively where we are.
So what impact do you think this might have on the foreign exchange market? Could increased liquidity put pressure on the naira?
So when you look at it face value, yes, it can. It is not properly managed. When you have a lot more naira in the hands of people, like I said, demand pull inflation. You find situations where people now use their naira to start chasing USD, either as a form of investment or as a form of hedging against possible devaluation of the naira. And that could cause instability in the currency and cause naira and cause a lot more premium on naira. So that's very possible. But like I also mentioned, that current levels where we are right now does not suggest that 2.65 trillion naira is enough to drive that much increased demand in USD to the point of putting a lot more pressure. But yes, I believe that the CBN would obviously manage the situation. But they that they are returning that money into the market, of course, they will come back again to raise more capital. We've seen the calendar for T-bills this quarter alone, and we've also seen the ones for bonds. And the CBN and the DMO are willing to borrow a lot more funds this quarter, either again to meet a budget deficit or just to mop up liquidity in a bit to fight inflation. So I believe it's going to be managed. But on paper, if it is not well managed, it could drive some pressure on naira.
We've actually seen many banks record strong profits in recent quarters. Does this additional liquidity strengthen the banking sector further, or are there risks investors should be aware of?
In the short term, yes, because when you have a lot more funds with you, you can create a lot more credit assets. And the expectation is that when you give out credit line, you are giving at a higher yield compared to what you would have gotten from, say, a T-bill or a bond issuance. And that is good for banks. Although the downside is also that banks also needs to check their prudential limits around things around deposit ratio, CRR ratio, as well as the non-performing loans ratio. I think that the prudential limit is somewhere around 5%. So the banks will always want to give out credit that are healthy, not the ones that is going to impact their balance sheet. So at the end of the day, they might still not be able to give out these loans at the end of the day. So eventually we will still go back to more safe haven assets like T-bills and bonds and whatnot, which might not necessarily drive profit as much in the long run. But of course, in the short term, it could give them some leisure to be able to play around creating credit lines. But I think something that investors should really watch out is one of them is to look at things around declining yields. Because of course, when liquidity becomes so much in the system, what that can cause is that the yields can begin to slow down. I also mentioned things around rising non-performing loans. Banks would not aggressively expand their loans because what that could cause for them is non-performing loans. I remember a couple of months ago, CBN actually stopped the forbearance for the banks, which means that whatever you're saying right now is what you get. And what it means is that banks might not be able to give out as much or report as much profitability if their balance sheet is not really quite good. Another thing they can consider is around inflation or FX volatility, because those also impact the asset quality that banks also have. I think when you look at these three things, it can help you to give you an indication of how much banks can really do going forward, even with this improved liquidity.
So Samuel, how are investors likely to respond? Could we see more money flow into the equities, bonds, or other asset classes?
Naturally, we should see some rotation in funds because, of course, when bonds are maturing, if you don't have or bonds or T-bills, if you don't have fixed income instruments that gives you that level of yields anymore, because there's always reinvestment risk banks also need to consider. If you don't have some of those instruments that gives you equal or commensurate returns, the chances that you see banks now rotating their portfolio into equities, which of course can give you higher returns compared to fixed income instrument. Of course, it comes with its own risk, but again, it can give you a higher return. So you could see some rotation where banks now look at things around money market funds, look at equities or even infrastructure funds, or some forms of alternative investment as far as it falls between the prudential guidelines for their investment for banks.
So beyond this week's liquidity boost, what other policy actions are needed to ensure that the real economy benefits rather than the funds remaining within the financial system?
Interestingly, I think this is the most important question from this liquidity story, because it is important for us to drive that point that liquidity alone does not create economic growth. It is just one of those factors, and it's fine. What people or investors or businesses really need to start considering is that we need to start seeing sustained moderation in inflation. Yes, last month we saw a marginal decline in inflation, but of course there are still some downside risk, being the geopolitical tension, as well as falling food prices as a result of the harvest cycle that we're going through right now. So prices are much high because of the planting season. So we want to see sustained moderation in inflation, because what then that does is that it now incentivizes the CBN to reduce interest rates. When you reduce interest rates, then businesses, SMEs, and corporates can now have lower cost of funds or access to credit, which is now responsible in driving businesses, driving the growth in the economic activities that we want to see. Of course, there are other things around government providing the required infrastructure for businesses to operate in a healthy environment. So things around good roads, good electricity, good transport system, and a host of many other things that helps to ensure that business runs smoothly. But I think from a macro monetary policy point of view, we need to see inflation slow down significantly to the point where interest rates are now very low and businesses can have lower cost of funds, which can now drive expansionary aspirations for businesses.
So finally, Samuel, before I let you go, what key indicators should businesses, investors, and ordinary Nigerians watch over the coming weeks to determine whether this liquidity injection is having the desired effect?
Yeah, I think to answer that question, first, look at inflation. Is important. Everyone should keep an eye on inflation. Inflation definitely gives you an indication of what the direction of the economy might be in the short to medium term. And on the back of that, you also want to look at things around exchange rate movement. We've seen our Naira trade relatively at a very modest level in recent time, which is quite good. But on the back of looking at that, when you look at inflation and exchange rates, again, on the back of that, you know what NPR is going to be, which is the CBN monetary direction. And that also impacts things around short-term interest rate, like interbank rates, the treasury bill rates at auction, as well as the secondary market. Also look at things around OMO yield, both at auction as well as secondary market. You also want to look at how much of credit is even given to the private sector by banks. Are they increasing credit line to businesses, private sector, or are they reducing that? That could also help you to give an indication of if this improved liquidity that you're seeing in the market is actually having desired effects on the economy. Because how you see your desired effect should be that businesses now expand, businesses now employ more people, they can now spread their tentacles across different areas of the country. And what that does is that it ensures that economic activity grows, and that impacts GDP at the end of the day. The CBN and the Federal Ministry of Finance have made projections and indications that they want the economy to grow at the rate of 7% per year and inflation at single digits. To be able to get there, credit line has to reduce. Businesses have to have easy access to those credit to be able to expand their business activity, employ a lot more people. Businesses who are in the export and import line are able to export more goods to other clients, and then you can now see that filter into GDP numbers, and then we can see economy grow faster.
Thank you very much, Samuel. It's really good to have you on the Business Morning Live.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, we're speaking to Samuel Oyekomi, is the Chief Research Officer at Norimberger Financial Group. And the Business Morning Live continues after this break. Do stay with us.
admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, BusinessDay fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. BusinessDay is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, BusinessDay is your guide.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musef.
When you think of business, think no more, think BusinessDay.
I know that BusinessDay Television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musef.
When you think of business, think no more, think BusinessDay.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
For 25 years, Business Day has delivered credible journalism, intelligent analysis, and decision-shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, Business Day now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. This innovation reinforces our commitment to being not just a news platform, but also a smart, accessible, and future-ready business intelligence hub. As we celebrate 25 years of impact, we step confidently into the future, powered by technology, driven by credibility, and focused on you. Visit the new Business Day website today and experience the future of news.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by Business Day Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musef.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
For 25 years, Business Day has delivered credible journalism, intelligent analysis, and decision-shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, Business Day now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. This innovation reinforces our commitment to being not just a news platform, but also a smart, accessible, and future-ready business intelligence hub. As we celebrate 25 years of impact, we step confidently into the future, powered by technology, driven by credibility, and focused on you. Visit the new Business Day website today and experience the future of news.
Attention business leaders. Want to make informed decisions? Join the ranks of the best with Premium Business Day. Access in-depth analysis and expert opinions to stay ahead. Subscribe now at premium.businessday.ng and unlock premium content. Plus, you get 50% off your first subscription. Don't miss out. Make smarter choices and seize new opportunities. Sign up now and elevate your business game. Visit premium.businessday.ng today.
am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, BusinessDay fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. BusinessDay is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, BusinessDay is your guide.
Ibilola Ashcroft, MD, Parthian Capitals. Really good to have a sit down with you this afternoon. All right, I understand that Parthian works closely with business growth, right? So, what qualities do you believe would make a Nigerian market investment ready? Because at the end of the day, if you're not investment ready, nobody would want to invest in you. So what qualities should these businesses have for them to, say, oh, I'm ready to get invested?
Okay. So generally, we are in, in a phase where we do have a lot of founders and we have a lot of businesses that are really springing up, and we've had conversations today that have spoken about capital and the availability of capital, and that is true. There really is capital that's available. I think what we've seen that has changed has been that for the recent past, it's been more of what we'll tag as easy capital. So you could easily access capital, not too rigorous as the case may be, but we've seen a shift now. We had, I think, the MD of EcoBank talking about the fact that there were no bankable projects or something around that side. But what I would say is that we've gotten to the era where I think capital is a bit more discerning, meaning that it's very specific about where it's going to and what value it's looking at in terms of where this capital is allocated. And I think that's really what's driving the allocation of capital nowadays. So a few things that are important for investors, because this is their money after all, and they are seeking risk-adjusted returns and looking to promote sustainable businesses. And I think one key thing will probably be corporate governance. So investors want to be sure that the business that they're putting their money in, is transparent, is well managed. As I said, the goal of giving the intention behind allocating capital is ultimately for the return. So you want to make sure that the business is well managed, has a has a resilient business, business decision-making business model behind it. Another would be financial discipline. You want to make sure that the business is one that has accurate records, robust reporting. Investors want to be sure.
The Business Morning live show, still on our conversations. Real estate has long been regarded as one of the most reliable paths to wealth creation. But in today's economic environment, buying property has become more complex. Rising construction costs, high inflation rate, infrastructure gaps, and affordability concerns are reshaping the market. At the same time, growing urbanization, a housing deficit estimated in the millions, and increasing interest from diaspora investors continue to create opportunities. So, where is the Nigerian real estate market headed? Which locations still offer strong investment potential? And how can buyers avoid costly mistakes while making informed decisions? Joining us this morning to unpack these issues is Favor Agbaje. She's the Chief Operating Officer at Petrus Properties. Favor, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. So let's get right into it. How would you describe the current state of Nigeria's real estate market and what trends are shaping the industry today?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Please come again.
So I said, how would you describe the current state of Nigeria's real estate market? What is the current state and what trends are shaping the industry today?
Okay, so I will describe the current real estate market as resilient and in high demand. I mean, a lot of people are becoming aware now, and a lot of people would want to put in their funds into real estate. So, I mean, the current trend right now is everybody investing. Most investors, smart investors, are investing into real estate as of today.
All right. For my intro, I mentioned some economic pressures that we are seeing, and many people still consider real estate one of the safest investments. Does that still hold true today?
Yes, it does. I think a lot of people are skeptical about the uncertainty in the economy today when it comes to investment. So most investors will rather put in their money or direct their funds into real estate, thereby generating more capital and value for them at the end of the day. Because when you look at it, real estate creation or real estate comes with a lot of value and appreciation at the end of the day. So yeah, a lot of investors are more aware, like I said earlier, and due to economic uncertainty, they would rather want to put in their funds into where they know that it is safe for them at the end of the year and then creates value for them at the end of the year. So,
all right, let's talk housing affordability. It remains a major concern for many Nigerians. So from your perspective, what is driving the affordability challenge and what practical solutions do you think can make home ownership more accessible?
Please come again.
So I mentioned that housing affordability remains a major concern for many Nigerians. So from your perspective, what is driving the affordability challenge and what practical solutions do you think can actually make home owners or ownership more accessible?
Interesting question. So I would say from my experience that a lot of developers these days are focused on developing a certain project or properties for the high net worth individuals, right? So they rather want to build what will be profitable for them rather than considering, or making these properties or projects affordable for people that can buy and invest. So they will target, these days, a lot of them target the HNIs rather than, people that are still coming up and trying to invest. So I think that's one of the challenges people are facing these days. They're trying to invest. A lot of developers will rather target, which is not a bad thing, But then they should equally consider people who are just looking into investing into real estate. So a lot of them would rather put in their energy or concentration into targeting the HNIs that can afford them, that can buy into what they are selling, the likes of terraces, duplexes, and all of that.
So for someone looking to invest in property today, what should they be looking out for before having to commit their money?
So the number one thing I would suggest or advise will be that you do your due diligence before investing. If you're going to buy a property, make your research, the exact property you're buying, the location, the title, very important. You get a lawyer, or if you can't do yourself, you get a lawyer that would do such for you. Make the proper due diligence before you put in your money into any form of investment. That would be my advice.
Right. So we've seen growing interest from Nigerians in the diaspora. I mentioned that earlier. So what opportunities are attracting diaspora investors, and what precautions should they take before investing back home?
I mean, Nigeria at the end of the day is still their home, right? So a lot of people in the diaspora would want to invest back home, creating wealth for them, generational wealth for them. Those in the diaspora, that's not where they lived. I mean, that's not their home, so to say. Nigeria is still their home. So they want something tangible that would yield value for them. So a lot of people in diaspora are interested in investing in Nigeria because of the wealth creation, because of the value. And a lot of them, at the end of the day, when they come home during festive seasons, they want somewhere they can stay. Nigeria is still their home, so they want somewhere they can stay, they can put up with. So most people in the diaspora are aware now, and they rather want to invest in Nigeria, own their own property in Nigeria that will generate more value for them, that will generate appreciation for them on their investments at the end of the day. Yes, so.
All right, one of the biggest fears, let's talk about fears now, is for buyers is falling victim to fraudulent land transactions or even disputed property ownership. So what due diligence should every investor carry out before they, buy the said land or property?
So I would suggest you check the title of the property. Check the title of the property. I mean, it's still part of your due diligence at the end of the day. Like I said earlier, you do your proper due diligence. Check the title of the property that you're buying. Ensure who the landowners are, and then, basically just make your research about the property you're buying. You get a lawyer that will do the research for you, or you go to Alausa and then do the research yourself in Lagos State. Ministry of Lands in Alausa.
All right, let's now move into technology. We see that technology is changing almost every industry. Explain to us how it is transforming real estate. And I'm talking from marketing properties to having to manage investment and also improving customer experience. So I want us to bring technology into the housing industry. We see how it's changing almost every industry, right? So how is it transforming the real estate? And I'm speaking from from properties to having to manage investment and also improving customer experience. How is technology changing all of that?
So I mean, a lot of people are moving into land banking now, as the case may be. It's no longer buying of lands as before. It's no longer, a lot of people are diversifying into land banking. A lot of people are putting their money where they know they can use passive income right now. So it's no longer I'm buying land these days. No, a lot of changes have revolved. The world is revolving. So land banking as what are shaping the technology of today, of now, when it comes to real estate.
So away from buying or beyond buying and selling property, where do you see the biggest opportunity in Nigeria's real estate value chain over the next 5 to 10 years?
I would say over the next 5 to 10 years. Hello?
Yes, please. How do you see the value chain of the real estate, the Nigerian real estate over the next 5 to 10 years? Do we still have your favor? I doubt that we do. Trevor was trying to explain to us what, the value chain of the real estate business would be like, the opportunities in the real estate would be like in the next 5 to 10 years before we lost her. Of course, we're speaking to Favor Agbaje. She's the Chief Operating Officer at Petrus Properties. The Business Morning Live continues after this break with the social listening. Do stay with us.
This is still the Business Day CEO Forum, the 14th annual edition, and I'm still speaking to our CEOs, business leaders right here at the booth. I'm speaking right now with the CEO of the African Medical Center of Excellence, Abuja, Mr. Brian Diva. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to start by asking you what are some of the takeaways you've gotten from this event. I mean, it's been about 6 hours now of different sessions. I believe that you would have some things you're taking back home. So what are some of those things you might want to share with our audience?
Well, obviously being in healthcare, that's going to be an area that I'll take particular interest in and gravitate to. I really enjoyed hearing the comments from Aga Khan and some of the things that they're doing, the progress that they've made, the technology that they have implemented. When we opened the African Medical Center of Excellence, we were fortunate to have attracted some of the staff from Aga Khan. And so they're very accomplished, very skilled, and we're very grateful to have them. So a number of points that were made in his presentation, particularly around medical tourism and some of the things that we can do to not only reduce it, but to reverse it, the outbound medical tourism. Additionally, and of course, I think the highlight of the day, the comments made by the governor of the central bank and the incredible things that have been done there to shore up Nigeria's economic situation and to stabilize the currency and ultimately build confidence around the globe and what's happening in Nigeria.
Right. Let's talk about healthcare. AMC has happened to, treat more than 5,000 patients across 20 African countries. What does this tell you about the gap that we have in healthcare in Africa?
Yeah, and let me just clarify, while the commissioning occurred a little over a year ago, we've only had our full license for about 7 months. And so the bulk of those 5,000 patients have come in about a little over half a year. I think what that points to is the fact that there is a pent-up need and a recognition of the need for specialized care that has not been able to be found either in Nigeria or even in West Africa in some cases. Before the AMCE was developed, a study was commissioned to determine what the gaps were. And that's really what guided us in determining what we would be doing at the AMCE. And so we have been fortunate for the last 3 years while the hospital was being built to go out and meet with the administrative teams of both government and private hospitals and develop good working relationships of trust with them to encourage collaboration. And so we have been fortunate that those referring hospitals have had confidence in us to send patients to us, and again that acknowledges that we are in fact addressing some of the gaps that were there.
Right. Now, let's talk about the theme for this year's event, which is from stability to shared prosperity. When you think of stability to shared prosperity, right, for Africa, what does that mean for you? I mean, not just from an African perspective, but also from a Western perspective looking in. What would you say is shared prosperity?
Right. Well, I think taking the comments from the governor of the central bank, his is a perfect example of the theme of the forum, and that is stabilizing the economy, stabilizing the currency, and we can see that has significantly slowed down the growth of prices on everyday items, food, fuel, and that sort of thing. Now, there have been some other inputs to go into that. Our good friend Dangote has opened a large refinery with the help of Afrexim Bank,
yes.
And that too has lowered or stopped the rise of fuel prices. But once the stability occurs, then we're able to more confidently grow small businesses and medium-sized businesses, which increases employment and makes opportunities available for more Nigerians. And that's really what this is about. We need to lower unemployment. We need to provide more jobs and more opportunities to grow those small businesses.
Now, my final question for you will be navigating the economic climate, right? You heard from the governor of the central bank. He has talked about a lot of indicators that shows that our economy has stabilized. I don't know if you agree with that, but has it been navigating the economic climate as a CEO?
Yeah, so first off, I completely agree with the comments that he's made today and with the achievements that he's had. I've watched it. So I came when President Buhari was still in office. I saw the exchange rate go from, the official rate of 460 naira per dollar to about 1,800 naira per dollar. So I've seen what the governor was attempting to tackle. And as the various initiatives were put in place, many of them were painful. And I watched the pain occur across the country, but they were absolutely necessary. And so when he talks about when the hard things need to be done, you can't be a nice guy.
Yes,
I understand what he means. I think you could still be a nice guy and do the hard stuff. But, I as a CEO, obviously we had to put mechanisms in place to monitor our own prices. So, as we perform very specialized cases in the hospital, whether it's heart surgery, replacement of heart valves, chemotherapy, the drugs are extremely expensive. We've had to keep a close eye on those costs so that we can keep the costs down for the patient. We've been able to do that. Part of that is in the selection of our suppliers, truly partnering with them as opposed to more of just a loose marketplace. And then the other thing too is monthly evaluating our prices to see how they need to be adjusted up or down to reflect the exchange rates. So all of that, it affects everybody. And What we're hoping is now that the currency is stabilized, that we'll be able to attract more manufacturers back to Nigeria, particularly in the healthcare space.
My final question will be, if you were to come back here in 2027, what would you hope has changed in Nigeria?
Wow, that's a great question. I'm so focused on what we are trying to accomplish at the African Medical Center of Excellence. There's a lot that's going to happen there in the next 12 months. But I think the things that we accomplish there are somewhat of a microcosm of the larger environment. So we expect to begin expansion of the hospital from 170 beds to 500 beds. We will have really all of our specialty areas functioning. We have what's called a cyclotron there on our campus, which produces nuclear material for diagnostic and treatment. And the cyclotron we put in has enough energy to not only supply us, but 4 or 5 other hospitals. I'd love to see 4 or 5 other hospitals with PET scanners who can use the isotopes that we're creating. I'd love to see the naira strengthen against the dollar. I think that President Trump is trying to assist with that. He's lowering or devaluing the dollar in an attempt to encourage exports. And so would love to see the naira strengthen against the dollar and improve the purchasing power of Nigerians. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Brian Diva. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime.
Welcome back to the Business Morning Live Show. Of course, if it's sparking conversations, then we are bringing it to your seats. Welcome to the social listening segment, where we bring you the stories, debates, and moments generating conversations across social media. I am Deborah Eze. And now let's get into waters making waves online. For the first conversation this morning, 3 students have been rescued after a session of a student's hostel near the Federal Polytechnic, Oko, Anambra State, collapsed, triggering panic among residents and prompting an emergency response from rescue officials. And according to eyewitness reports, the 3-story building serving as a student hostel known as Elite 5-Star Lodge, located beside Tanima's filling station in Amokpala, Oko, Orumba North local government area of Anambra State, collapsed in the early hours of Monday, trapping on several unknown occupants. Although the exact number of casualties could not be immediately confirmed, eyewitnesses said the building came down while students were inside. Let's see the video. Let's take a look at some of the reactions on social media, how netizens are reacting to the story. And the first reaction from Olarewaju Omotoyosi, and he said, people need to be aware of their environment. Most building collapses are preceded by warning signs like widening cracks, sagging floor, leaning walls, doors and windows no longer close properly, and unusual structural movement. Once any of this is noticed, it's best to invite a professional to check. Olarewaju, this is really a way to raise awareness, and this is really a good one. Another one is Boss Girl Bays, and she said, there are signs. My sister was asked to pack out beginning of this year because the landlord claimed he wanted to renovate. I guess he didn't do it well before fixing new tenants. Another reaction from Mr. Easy, and he said, it was after I witnessed an uncompleted building collapse in Owerri that I stopped renting ground floors, except it's a bungalow. But there's a day I went to inspect a house. The only vacant flat was a ground floor. Despite the house being of good taste and finishing. I refuse to pay for it. Very valid. And finally, from Lazus, and he said, what kind of sad situation is this? Nigerian contractors and engineers who keep using inferior materials to build houses. These are the results of your actions. I do much hate this country. At the end of the day, we can't hate the country. It is our own at the end of the day. First of all, thank goodness that those students were rescued. That's the kind of ending everyone was praying for, that, you know, the 3 students who were trapped were rescued. But can we talk about how it's really sad that students would have to survive exams, students will have to survive deadlines, and also kidnapping in schools, insecurity, and now they're dealing with collapsing hostel too. This particular, I'm not sure if it's the same hostel, but I've seen Oko, this particular hostel in Oko, in the news. Students actually complaining of how bad the infrastructure is, and it's really sad because the hostel is supposed to be a safe place for the students, you know, where they can be students, argue over certain things, and not have to worry that they might sleep, and by the time they wake up, their building is already down to the ground. Maybe this is, you know, another reminder that most of these landlords should do better. They have to check if, you know, their houses is safe for students, for people to live in. And also, maintenance shouldn't be a non-negotiable. It shouldn't just be about a new project. Whether it's an old project, you should actually put in maintenance, you know, into consideration. It is really, really bad that, you know, people who have to study really hard, worry about CGPAs, are now having to worry about a structure, worry about having to sleep and wake up, and then the building is all over their, you know, the building is all over the ground. Like I said, good thing that they were rescued and no casualty was recorded. And now on the second conversation today, F1 drivers had the honor of being photographed on track and around the paddock by a very special guest during the Hungarian Grand Prix weekend. Among the many photographers covering the event was Czech President Petr Pavel, who, alongside his political duties, has a long-standing passion for photography and meets the accreditation requirement to work at Formula One event as a professional photographer. Interesting. Before entering politics, Pavel built a distinguished military career that saw him rise to some of the highest ranks within NATO. Between 2015 and 2018, he served as chair of the NATO Military Committee, becoming the first representative from a former Warsaw Pact country to hold the alliance's top military position. He was elected president of the Czech Republic in March 2023. Let's quickly take a look at some of the tweets to this interesting story. And of course, the first one from Ericsson. Ericsson said, respect. A sitting president still chasing his passion on the track with a real camera instead of just VIP seats. Never too late. Another reaction, Bulus Paul from Bulus Poland said, I think that's exactly what we need in Nigeria. Imagine every politician have a handwork after serving us. They go seek for family fortune and leave taxpayers' money. Another one from Afigo Bar, and he said, I hate career politicians. Politics should be about serving the people, not making it a lifelong career. Serve your term, make a difference, then go back to your profession. In many countries, politics has become a do or die game because too many politicians have no life outside of politics. And finally, from Omotoyosi A.A. Ijaya journalists, you can never find Nigerian politicians doing this. All they know how to do best is politics and stealing. For example, the governors, when their tenure ends, they are moving to the National Assembly. It was really, really beautiful to watch. I must say, really beautiful to watch, and I can agree with some of the tweets. It's really nice that you have a profession outside politics. You were a person before politics, not making politics your all and all. And I like how Nigerians find a way to actually bring it back to the politicians, holding them accountable. So yeah, it's really nice and beautiful to see that it wasn't seated in the VIP seats. It was chasing a passion, doing something he's passionate about. So it's even, and this should remind us that even high profile people, celebrities, they actually have like a whole life aside from what we know about them. They have like an entire hobby aside from what we actually know about them. This is really, really good, and it's nice that it actually like put a smile on people's face. And I must say it's really respect to the Czech Republic president. And for the final conversation today, the Nigerian Citizens Association South Africa, NICASA, has demanded justice for Nigerian national Mr. Chika Ibe, who was allegedly beaten to death by members of the South African Police Service, SAPS, during an operation in Cape Town. And according to NICASA, the deceased hailed from Lopauko in Abia State. Lopauko in Abia State, describing the incident as shocking and unacceptable. The allegation, if proven, amounts to a gross violation of human rights and the rule of law. It therefore called on the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, IPID, and the leadership of SAPS to immediately launch an independent, transparent, and comprehensive investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death. Let's take a look at the video. Really gross to watch. Let's take a look at some of the tweets, how Nigerians are reacting to this. Now, the first reaction from Aush, and he said, Nigerian leadership is a shame to the entire African population. Imagine a country of plus 230 million people with such an incapable, inadequate leadership for decades. It's a shame and sad reality. Another one from Polymorphism, and he said, I don't have anything to see on this. If my son or brother used to live in South Africa, I would have told him to come back home. If it's only Gary we'll be drinking, it's better than eating fried rice and be looking over your shoulders. Any Nigerian still in SA knows why he is still there. Another one from Daniel Anya, and he said, how can this be allowed under any circumstances? Police officer on camera beating and strangling an innocent man. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Nigerian government is just watching because your family member is not involved. And finally from Vivo, and he said the Nigerian government does not value the life of an Igbo man. If it was a Yoruba, you would have seen all the media houses excavated and crying for justice. The only person who cares about the average Igbo man is rotting away in Sokoto prison. Well, I would not agree with you, Vivo, because the whole issue happening in South Africa is not an ethnic issue. It is not a Yoruba, neither is it a Yoruba issue. It is really sad that, we have to watch that gruesome video and he had to lose his life. Because the question I keep asking myself is, when do we break this circle? When do we break the circle? And I'm of the belief that justice isn't just about holding people accountable when something goes wrong. It's about having to build trust that every life matters. And this is where we're getting it all wrong. We're not treating life like it matters. Again, it has nothing to do with ethnicity. It has nothing to do with your region or, regardless of where you come from. Hopefully the investigation will bring answers and accountability where it is necessary, and I hope the family gets some sort of comfort, because at the end of the day, it's the families that actually bear the brunt of this. Whether or not justice happens, the family gets to live with the fact that a family member is actually dead. And that's a wrap on the conversation making the waves across social media in Nigeria today. Thank you for watching the social listening segment. I am Deborah Eze. Until we come your way again tomorrow for the Wednesday edition of the Business Money Live. Do have yourself a beautiful morning.
We're still here at the Business Day CEO Forum, the 14th edition, and I'm still speaking to our leaders here in the hall, and I'm speaking now with the DG CEO of the Miriam Babangida National Center for Women Development, Dr. Adedayo Benjamin Lani. It's good to have you seated here with us today.
Great to be here.
Thank you so much for honoring our invite. So let's talk about the theme for this year's event, which is From Stability to Shared Prosperity. I'm very curious to know what shared prosperity, or moving from stability to shared prosperity, what it means for you.
It's the assignment in terms of the Women O'Clock reference of the Honorable Minister Iman Suleiman Ibrahim FSI, that it is now time for that socio-economic TikTok representation of women in the pipeline and intersection of repurposing gross domestic product from just being an economic index to be a community impact index through the development that investing in women and a woman bring to community. We have 774 communities. That is 774 local government areas with our mothers, our iyalakaras, the Kosei sellers, the entire informal economy, which during the KPMG presentation clearly indicated that 80.7% is women of that GDP. And that labor market, as well as the reference gender index, is not about a women's agenda. It is about shared prosperity. For me, the excitement as the DG CEO for the Mariam Babangida National Center for Women's and National Development is about centering women at the center, women at the pivot of national development, not just as recipients of grants, beneficiaries of some palliatives, but as leaders redirecting the focus as well as the very strategically designed impact of prosperity from the place of stability, like we heard the Honorable Minister say, in terms of repurposing the workforce to those of employable reference and representation, the greater number being women, and the adolescent girl child scaling through their foremost graduating positions. These days in Nigerian universities, a lot of the top performing graduates are girls. And we're finding that this, however, does bring us to a place where we have to redirect our investment in the boy child. So it's not just about the girl child. I'm just saying that because even as the CEO for women, I'm a CEO for raising a generation as a woman who's mothering nations through the pipeline of her political activation and appointeeship. So for me, it's a whole vista of opportunity. From stability to shared prosperity is actually economic language. But the truth of the matter, what it is the fact that shared prosperity is 774 communities. I served as the pioneer mandate secretary for women, that's Honorable Commissioner for Women Affairs of the Federal Capital Territory for 2 years and 6 months. It was from that position that I was promoted and elevated to this position as DG. And what that gave me was access to a profiling of how communities are the pivot of economies. And through women, you have the pipeline for development. Again, I say, a women's agenda is not about gender. It is about development. It is about leadership. It is about policy governance, implementation, operationalization. It's not just about, oh, stop gender-based violence, but much more than that. When you understand that period poverty is poverty, when you understand that water and sanitation, health, poverty is poverty, and that the most implicated in this is always the woman, the girl child, the person with these vulnerable communities. Communities are vulnerable because women have not been empowered and given that equitable status of economic representation and training. I always say, if you don't train them, don't blame them. So it's much more than being a member of an adagio where at the traditional cultural baseline community, women gather money together and use it over an annual reference of their being in the cluster. It's more about financial training, literacy training, those monetary principles in basics that teach you how to make money, earn money, save money, invest money, and then have money built up as legacy, invested as legacy, not just for you and your family, your children, but for community. So that way, the shared prosperity is legacy. It's shared legacy. So from being, if you become the mother of Africa, where did you start from? You were a baby girl. You were a girl child. You've come through different experiences. And I say, every woman in Africa understands she's got to package her market and market her package if she's really going to catch the market. So the reality, therefore, for me and the excitement of this conference is, as a CEO, just as we're challenged by the Honorable Minister of Finance, is we are co-authors, co-creators,
Absolutely.
co-laborers, co-lab techs
lab
in
technicians,
the collaboration
absolutely.
of creating this whole new nation
Yeah.
of shared prosperity.
Right. And there's something you said which stuck out to me. Is you said we're not just talking about shared prosperity, but also shared legacy. If there is something you'd say, if you could remove a barrier hindering women right now to reach, this shared prosperity we're talking about, what's that barrier that you'll be?
It's mental. The greatest barrier of every woman is her mindset. It's the orientation towards money, but not just towards money, it's towards herself. And how do I know this so well? It's been my experience. It's my experiential barrier that I had to break through. I mean, I was raised in a family in the first place that our parents would tell us that in this family, we don't make money. We have good name. We don't have money. So I grew up with this as a child. And then one day something me said, no way, I don't just want a good name. I want to make money. Now, it may seem like an ordinary statement. That to me, other women have other things they've been told. You're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not connected enough. Oh, you've got to have so many followers before you can have that much business. There's so many. We listen to all the reasons why you cannot break through. When all you need is the mindset, one thought that one day tells you, you know what? I am good enough. Or I may not be good enough yet, but I'm good enough for now. So you begin where you're at. You learn to package your market. For me, the greatest barrier is not the fact that, oh, we have a patriarchy, we have glass ceilings, oh, we don't have the seats at the National Assembly. Girl, I got my seat where I am, and I set up a table. And let me put it like this. He said, he sets the table before you in the presence of your enemies. He anoints your head with oil. I'm getting prophetic because honestly, really, women, whoever we are, by tribe, by religion, by faith, by political, partisan, whatever representation, if we can just get it, we will truly clock it. Women, the only barrier that we have is our mindset. Once we get it, we'll move as one. You get over the fact that women don't support women. Because you become the one woman you know who will support a woman you do not know. Did you hear me? Support a woman you do not know. Go find that woman in your community, in your school, in your office, who's at your gate. Like I say, I'm the Omalakara of the year Lakara who started the whole Akara conversation. Why? Because I gave a report of the assignment I was given by Her Excellency the First Lady. I did a whole event saying, Your Excellency, ma, you gave me the privilege of serving as the coordinator of the Renewed Hope Initiative in the Federal Capital Territory, while at the same time I served as the Pioneer Mandate Secretary Honorable Commissioner for 2 years and 6 months. While I did that, this money you gave me and investments for health, for traders, for farmers, for persons with disabilities, for elders, for communities. I took it to the people. Today, I am bringing back a report of 27,340, 46 or whatever numbers of women who actually benefited from this, one of whom is this Mariam Akara girl who, and the next thing it became this blow up. But the reality is this, when you do what you do, and you can prove it, you can show it, then truly you have shared prosperity.
Fantastic. Thank you so much,
Thank
Dr. Adedayo Benjamin Lani. Thank you for stopping by.
And I'm so grateful. Congratulations to all of you too.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for encouraging me too.
Thank you.
I've walked the walk so you can all run.
Absolutely.
And now I'm telling all of you, I am running so everybody fly.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Right, this is still the Business Day CEO Forum here at a hotel and suite. I'm still speaking to our CEOs, business leaders, and key stakeholders across the business landscape. And I'm here with the MD and the CEO of Energia, Mr. Oladimeji Basharon. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr.
Thank you also
Basharon.
for having me here.
Talk to me about your key takeaway. You just finished a panel right now. Talk to me about some of the proceedings from that panel.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I really want to say thank you to Business Day, 14 years of doing this, of actually having us to dialogue, bringing both the private, the government, and everybody in to have a conversation. My first takeaway is that we all have a responsibility as Nigerians, whether as CEO or even as a citizen, to make sure that we invest and we are part of this country. That's the first one. The second thing is also, it's not just government alone. I see it on a company that our annual revenue is in billions of naira. So I need to ensure that at not just delivering profit to the shareholders, that I also deliver value to Nigerians. We provide energy, and so we will comply and ensure that energy is provided. So I picked that up. The third one is also that we have an infrastructure deficit, and it will take all of us to invest into that. So it is going back now to look at our strategy and say, where do we fit into this stream as part of my takeaway from this forum.
Fantastic. And when we talk about where we fit into this stream, let's talk about the theme for today's event, which is from stability to shared prosperity. Now, what will shared prosperity look like for you from the lens of an energy lens? What would that look like?
Yeah, thank you. Very excellent question. So what does it mean for me? It means that we run a company that is first able to provide energy to drive growth to for this nation. That we ensure that our energy is affordable, is available, and is accessible. That's the first thing, to make sure that we help businesses, the SMEs, the 90%, to be able to scale up, and they'll need energy. So that's the first one, so that they are also part of the shared prosperity. The second one is that individual Nigerians will provide employment, but not just employment, we provide intellectual capacity and growth for them, so that they also prosper intellectually, so it becomes shared. It's not just the company. We invest in development of people. So we move away from just having a typical engineer, but we provide a resource to the nation that somebody would be able to benefit. The third one is also to provide governance prosperity, that we have a group of leaders that can run the business even beyond us, and that's what we're investing into, to make sure that it's shared prosperity.
Nice. if you're to look right now from between now 2027 and then 10 years from now, what's a signal or trend or shift in your sector today that you would say that every business leader should be paying attention to, and why?
Yeah, the first one is technology. The AI is taking over the world. We cannot pretend that we are not going to be impacted. So we need to start investing in the technology. We need to also follow the trend in terms of the governance of AI, the technology that is. The second thing also now is that Nigerians are being entrusted with running the company. 60% of the oil and gas sector, the production of today is provided by Nigerian oil companies. So we need to keep the trend up. When the majors, when the international oil companies leave, Nigerians should be able to take it over and run it successfully. So that's the second trend. We need to keep up the trend. The third one also is that we are competing with the fintechs for resources. So we need to be attractive for people to come in. We need to go to the universities, ensure that we have enough invest in development at the university level, partner with universities for researches, because we are competing with fintech for resources. They are very lucrative, and so that's a trend that we see that we must do something about so that we are not out of business.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oladimeji Basharin, for stopping by at our booth today, and also just the insightful conversation, brief and very, very impactful. Thank you very much.
And thank you also for having me. I really enjoyed the section today. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Ibilola Ashcroft, MD, Parthian Capitals. Really good to have a sit down with you this afternoon. All right, I understand that Parthian works closely with business growth, right? So, what qualities do you believe would make a Nigerian market investment ready? Because at the end of the day, if you're not investment ready, nobody would want to invest in you. So what qualities should these businesses have for them to, say, oh, I'm ready to get invested?
Okay. So generally, yeah, we are in, I guess, in a phase where we do have a lot of founders and we have a lot of businesses that are really springing up, and we've had conversations today that have spoken about capital and the availability of capital, and that is true. There really is capital that's available. I think what we've seen that has changed has been that for the recent past, it's been more of what we'll tag as easy capital. So you could easily access capital, not too rigorous as the case may be, but we've seen a shift now. We had, I think, the MD of EcoBank talking about the fact that there were no bankable projects or something around that side. But what I would say is that we've gotten to the era where I think capital is a bit more discerning, meaning that it's very specific about where it's going to and what value it's looking at in terms of where this capital is allocated. And I think that's really what's driving the allocation of capital nowadays. So I mean, a few things that are important for investors, because this is their money after all, and they are seeking risk-adjusted returns and looking to promote sustainable businesses. And I think one key thing will probably be corporate governance. So investors want to be sure that the business that they're putting their money in, is transparent, is well managed. As I said, the goal of giving the intention behind allocating capital is ultimately for the return. So you want to make sure that the business is well managed, has a resilient business, decision-making business model behind it. Another would be financial discipline. You want to make sure that the business is one that has accurate records, robust reporting. Investors want to be sure that the A that you have mentioned is the A and the B is the B, and that's really what drives them to be able to allocate more capital, I guess, to this sort of businesses. Something else would be scalability. Markets. What's the word I'll use there? market receptivity. I don't know if that's a word, but something along those lines. Yes. So investors are very keen. I believe that capital flows still remains very attractive to businesses that are making an impact, essentially solving real problems. So those are things that I believe investors are looking for when you're looking for, areas in which to, or businesses in which to put money in. I think maybe something else that is also in line with it is also who the founders are really. Investors want to know that these founders are, they are adaptable, they are flexible, they are willing to change as market conditions evolve. Yeah, you have to have that flexibility. Ultimately, investors want to make sure that their capital works and generates returns, and I believe these are some of the things that they will be looking for in terms of making decisions
Right.
as to where their capital goes.
So from what you said, getting capital is actually more selective now.
Oh, yes,
And also
it is.
founders are actually finding fundraising very difficult. Now, what biggest investment opportunities do you see in Nigeria in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
So I mean, I take that as meaning like sectors. What sectors
Yes,
we think that are going to be? So I think maybe two sectors, really stick out to me, just on the basis of what we do and the businesses that we speak with. One would be the agric and agro-allied industry. Yes, as we're very much aware, food is a basic necessity. It's very needed. The market is also quite inelastic, meaning there is always demand. Some of the things that we see as the there are bottlenecks on one side, but they are also what determines what can happen. So obviously our teeming population, everybody has got to eat. Yes. So when I look at that, beyond even the food supply, which is just one aspect of it in terms of actual food production, there's also food processing, there is also the logistics bit of it, there is also the export ready businesses. So within that value chain are business opportunities that capital can actually be channeled to, and that can make significant impact in terms of the economy of Nigeria currently. I think another will be energy. I mean,
sorry, I was thinking, were you going to mention energy?
I don't know. Energy is huge as well, and investors or people will be looking at, or investors will be looking at, solutions from areas like distributed power to renewable energy. I believe everybody has solar now, and it's such a huge market, and with good reason to say. So renewable energy, and essentially solutions. People are looking for solutions that can help reduce energy cost and push reliability. So in as long as we have businesses that are creating solutions that fit any of these buckets or these areas essentially, and we can find the capital to back that up, then I believe that those are key sectors, that can really push Nigeria forward in the short to mid-term, I would say.
Yeah, very well. Let's talk about the CEO Forum.
Sorry, I didn't hear
the
that.
CEO Forum.
Okay.
This is the 14th edition, if you're aware. Let's look at the theme from stability to shared prosperity. What do you think about that?
So I think my company actually had an event, I think it was last year, and shared prosperity is no longer new, to be honest. I think it's really become a mantra that everyone is keen into, and we need to start thinking beyond what is good for me alone or what works for me alone. At Parthian, we're very much at the center of that in terms of the businesses that we do, and as well as even the areas that we are trying to push. We are doing a lot in terms of getting into trade financing, and that's because we are trying to open up opportunities to a lot of businesses. I mean, everything is about making sure that there is an avenue for all to prosper and for all to benefit. And so from being capital allocators on our end with some of our businesses to being capital seekers, or to helping capital seekers on the other end of the spectrum, Parthian is smack at the middle of that. Be be it being an individual, be you be a business, an institution. We are there to support you in terms of your financial goals, financial aspirations, and also in terms of the access to capital. Quite spot on in terms of what the conversation is about. In terms of funding, finding capital, seeking capital to be able to build those solutions and provide those lasting solutions to some of the problems that Nigeria is currently experiencing as a nation. We're smack there, and we are open to business, and we do hope that as people listen to this, they do reach out to us, because we are willing and ready to help them move their businesses to the next level.
I like that. Thank you very much, Ibilola Ashcroft, MD, Parthenon Capital. So it was really good to have you sit down.
Thank you for having me as well.